out here, as we built on the airborne equipment, now we'll work towards building the land-based equipment. So out here we see that there is a new worksheet here. We'll need to have a new worksheet, of course. And so let's keep saving this data first. A separate folder. Russo-Ukraine War. Yeah, that's the folder name that we have. And herein, we'll save this as what? No, instead of that, we'll type it as Russo-Ukraine War. Let's save it. So, fine, this is what we did as far as the airborne equipment was concerned. And now we'll open another fresh worksheet wherein we'll be covering all the land warfare based equipment typically. And irrespective of from which date to which date they have been destroyed, we'll be trying to cover most of them. And let's see if we'll be able to do the same using the pie charts. So fine, let me click on this button here for new worksheet. We can also click on the worksheet over here and click on the new worksheet. Fine, so let's do it from here. A new worksheet. Yes. So now what is this worksheet for and about? Well, that is for the land-based equipment. Landborne, write it as landborne. Landborne equipment, and again we are trying to assess these on the basis of days that we have. So for how many days the war has happened. And fine, let us take the date again. Where do we have? Yeah, we are taking the day as a row. And for the column, we are taking what? Anti-aircraft warfare, APC. They don't have any use for anti-aircraft warfare because there weren't any Ukrainian jets that were flying too much. Let us select field artillery as a column. We'll also select fuel tank. That's also land-based equipment typically. We'll take mobile SRBMs, surface range ballistic missile, and then we have another special equipment. We also have the MRLs. So we are seeing there is a bit of a variety on this equipment that we can see here. And so all of this equipment that we are looking at here is, we are seeing a very different trend here. In case of mobile SRBMs, we are seeing there is a different trend. So let's come to data source and let us see where does MRBM stand. Yeah, see mobile SRBM, when we are scrolling down, we are not seeing too many losses for mobile SRBMs. There are only few days when there were 4 getting destroyed on each date. From 2 it spiked to 4 and then it has stayed 4 consistently. So that is what we are seeing here in mobile SRBM out here. It stayed 2 and then it spiked to 4. From which dates? So each day from day 33, from 32 to day 66, they have been losing 4 mobile SRBMs daily. Now, of course, it could be either cumulative or it could be a steady, the same data that only they know. But so fine, this is what we have as far as the land equipment is concerned. Again, let us click on day. We'll adjust this, we'll edit this axis. Why so? Because we have 112, so let's make it 120. And yes, that looks better. Why 120? Because now it's been almost more than 120 days of the war. And I think we should make the same here also on the edit axis, and this becomes 120. So how did I do it? Again, that is more important. I clicked on left click on day, right click on day again, and I click on edit axis. You can also clear the axis range, select marks. Let's select marks. Okay, nothing happens, is it? Fine. So, and then you can also format, you can add a reference line if you want. So which reference line do you want and where you want it? You can select the entire table. You can select a band. That's a minimum maximum band. That's a line that we can select. So average, now this is the average line that we have selected, which is at 40, 50, maybe perhaps at 55. And per pane, if we select it as per pane, that is also possible. Distribution, do we have any distribution? 80 to 60%. Is there a box plot possible over here. Well, we don't want any box plots here. I think we are happy with the line graph that we have. So I click OK. Now, fine. So this is what we have. Now, if you want to add any filters, we want to add filters for what? Let us add greatest losses as a filter here. Now, these are what? These are the names of the cities, okay? Avdiivka, Krivoy, Lyman, Sloviansk. So, Bakhmut, Krivoyrian, Bakhmut, Krivoyrian, Zaporizhia, Bakhmut. So, these are the different names of the city. Do we have a custom list? No. Fine, so let us select this. This is a bit interesting. Let's select all of them except for the null. I click apply and I click OK. So now what is it that we are seeing here? Well, we are seeing now this is something that we have selected for the airborne equipment. If you want, we can edit the filter here. We can also show the filter. So that will appear over here, right? We can show the filter here. So that appears here. Now, if I select all of them, this is how it shows. If I select null, nothing shows. If I select all and I deselect Krivoy and Zaporizhia or Lyman, Sloviansk. So as we reduce on the greatest losses, the averages are reducing. Now the average is at 50, but if I increase all of them, then the average rises to 54. If I reduce null, the average shoots up to what? 98.5. Now, obviously, this is a debatable figure, but so it depends, like, on which all areas did you have greatest losses, and based on the losses or the personal losses that you have, what is the equipment that you have been losing on an average basis. Now that is how you can interpret the same. So that is another thing that we have done. That is typically again for airborne equipment. For the landborne equipment, we have the details here. And so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now these are what? These all are based on the daily basis. So now let us see vehicles and fuel tanks. That also we can add here, I believe. Yes, but then again, when we speak of vehicles and fuel tank, the data is available only after 67th day. So not all the data that we are seeing here is available right from the start of the war. Some of the data that is available over here has, come up at the end of the 31st day, as in case of mobile SRBM. And then there is other data for the for vehicles and fuel tanks. Like that is available at the end of the 67th day, which is practically 2 months time. So this is the airborne equipment, landborne equipment, and now let us move towards the seaborne equipment. And again, do we want to take a look at the personnel losses that we faced? Yeah, we have the personnel here also. Let us add them as the filter here and see. Let us select all the values, or let us select the count, and I click next. Range of values, at least, at most, special. Okay, wait. What happens if we add this over here? About or more. Let's click apply and I click OK. Show filter. If you select only about and what, if you select more. Fine. So now these are the two indicators that they have provided us with. About and more. So personnel who have died are about this much, or more than these many personnel have died. Now that is how the interpretation goes. We can check the same out here also. See, out here we have that list. Personnel who died, and these are the about values, which means these many personnel have died, and or more than them have died. That is how they. So that is how they have positioned it, or that is how the data has been provided. And in case if we don't have that, if we suppose we delete this, we remove this particular filter, and if I instead add a date over here, okay, and I remove the day, then how does this change? This is for the years, right? That's what they are showing. If you make it as a monthly basis, see, this is how it shows up for the monthly review, which means In February, it was at this, and then it came here. And so this is how the overall spread appears. If we select this line, yes, this line appears better. So it is telling us the count of the month. Typically for the first, which for mobile SRBM, it is from the third month, it appears to have grown like this. For MRL, multiple rocket launchers, it started from which date? Okay, in the month of February, it spiked and then it fell. From May to June, it has reduced. Again, in case of May to June, even the field artillery losses have reduced. Initially, the fuel tank losses rose steadily and now they have stabilized. So what does this say? That at the initial start of the war, Russians lost quite a bit of military equipment, as we can see here. But then once the war was stabilized, they realized their mistakes, whatever the strategies or whatever the tactics they were failing. Thereafter, they worked on them and then they worked towards reducing those losses of the military equipment. That is something that is very evident over here. Because if the rate at which the fuel tank losses were happening, they were quite high in the months of February and March. But then since March, they have stabilized. So that is another way of looking and thinking at it. Let's keep saving this. Fine, so this is what we have for the land-borne equipment, and then the airborne is done. Both are the line graphs, of course. If you want, we can also change it to what? Something like this, but no, let us retain it at the line graph level. Okay, out here, if we take the day as a filter, we have what, 106 days they are calling, is it? Let's make it 125 days. I click apply and I click OK. And if I click here and select on show filter, so the filters are showing up. So as I keep changing the days, you'll be able to see how the losses have been piling up. Out here we have it as a month, no doubt on that. So from day 32, day 32 means what? The second day of the and the fourth day of the second month, because the entire February was lost, and then it started from the month of March. So that is how it is calculating. So as you increase the number of days, there is a change in the line. So you can juggle it out, or you can play around with this filter. That is also possible. So let us keep saving this, and let's have the personnel. Let us perform some analysis on the personnel data, because we have the personnel, we have the prisoners of war here, and counts number of records on the Russian losses, right? And this is a measure value. Okay, so let us perform some analysis on the personnel and the prisoners of war also. So I'm creating another worksheet here. Right click and I'll rename it as personnel analysis. So fine. Out here, what do we see is we have the different types of personnel. One is a prisoner of war, and there is another, like, the people who are fighting the war, really, combatants or non-combatants or the logistics guys.